10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back, Pop Kylie. You're light years away from some kind of bliss, and many say, I'm so high about that. Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. It was the best I could do when I was writing this up. We're talking all things light years tonight. And yay, it's Kylie's first ever #1 album in Australia. And not to mention a pretty decent hit globally too. Set against the backdrop of the Sydney Olympic Games, Light Years, well, it catapulted Kylie back into the mainstream music scene after what some described was a very necessary deviation down the experimental track that was Impossible Princess. As British music journal NME noted at the time, Light Years saw Minogue, quote, dropping her considerable concern for cool and bouncing back to her disco pop roots. Light Years is all you need to know about Kylie in less than an hour. Fun, perfectly formed, not too taxing, and occasionally annoying. I have a trio of golden superfans joining me tonight. Rick, Jono and Aiden. Aiden all the way from Canada. Welcome, friends. Welcome, golden friends. How are you all?
Good.
Awesome.
Even though it's late.
No complaining from the Canadian. No, we don't want that. It's perfectly reasonable time here in Australia. So here it is, guys. The big leap from ultra cool deconstruction to the commercial powerhouse parlophone. Rick, while you're passing me a peach, what comes into your mind when you're thinking about Light Years?
Pop, just pop, brilliant, and gold hot pants, because would it be an album without those gold hot pants?
Oh, every interview for the rest of her life. Oh,
well,
anyway.
She did say that they could have done the interviews by themselves, because that's all they wanted to talk about. But that video clip, iconic, and I think that'll define her video clips for the rest of her career, I think.
Jono, what do you make of Light Years? Is it one of her best?
It is, but it's probably a bit more lower down on my actual list if I was to rank them. It's not that I don't dislike it. I don't think I dislike any of her albums, really. I'm not giving a pageant answer. But, yeah, I probably would just say because the singles stand out more than the actual non-singles. Do you get what I mean? Which is kind of rare for a Kylie album, I think.
Absolutely. It's got some powerhouse singles, doesn't it? And Aiden, over there in Canada, I mean, did you even get Light Years released? Is that a really racist question for me to ask?
we didn't until Fever.
That's right.
And once Fever was released, then Light Years was everywhere. It was like if you went into the store to buy Fever, you had pretty much every other Kylie release in the store. Then she absolutely blew up here after the release of Fever. But for the album itself, I think it's in my top 5, absolutely. For Kylie and her albums, it's one of the most, I think, Kylie albums there is. It's absolutely what she is at her core, very pop. It was definitely the right move for her after Impossible Princess. She came right back onto the scene and really geared herself up for global domination over the next 4 to 5 years, definitely.
Just music to my ears. Gearing herself up for global domination with Fever, of course. You're absolutely right. This laid like the foundation for Fever, didn't it? I mean, whether it's your favourite album or not, I've got to admit, Light Years is the quintessential Kylie album, isn't it? I mean, it does. I mean, I love that review where it said, this is all you need to know about Kylie in less than an hour. I think that's a great statement.
I like the whole album. I liked every single song on the album.
This is a podcast for the fans, so only Super Kylie fans would get why I'm starting with track 1 being not Spinning Around, but Password. Who did the rewind? Who held their finger on the CD player going back, and who had a CD player which, if you went a little bit too far, just wrecked the whole thing?
Are you talking about a CD or are you talking about a cassette? Like what?
Actually, that's a good point. I don't know how on earth they put the hidden track on the cassette. I assume they didn't. It was on the CD that they had Password. You had to go back. You couldn't just go skip with one button. You had to, on my disc player at least, you had to go back seeking right through the track and get it just perfectly timed if you wanted to hear it from the beginning.
Mine was the same.
It's not one of my favorites from the era when we come to like bonus tracks and B-sides, but I think it does have a certain charm to it. I mean, the kind of meowing and purring throughout it is quite something. Very, very cute, I would say.
Now, this was interesting because, at least for me, this was around the beginning of the internet, so it wasn't as if you readily knew there was this additional track. Rick, how did you find out that Password was even on the album?
I fluked it. I literally did. Like, it just happened, and I was like, damn. And, you know, the giggle at the end, it's kind of cute.
Well, it's a good place for us to segue into the first single on the album, which was released around June of 2000, I think it was, around the world. So that's a sort of a summer release for the UK and a winter release here in Australia. God knows what in Canada, Aidan. I'm really sorry, I wouldn't have a clue what season it is over there.
It would have been summer. Summer here.
And it's a summery song, isn't it? Spinning Around. My God, what a way to come back after Impossible Princess. What did we make when we first saw? And for me, it was a little internet clip, you know, back then when you had to buffer on the telephone line, all that noise that it used to make. I remember hearing a 5-second snippet that she released with the pink cover. What did we all think of Spinning Around?
I heard it on the radio for the first time, and I went berserk. It was just pure pop. And when I heard that Paul Abdul had written it, I just knew that it was perfect. Like, it was, I think she had to have this song to come back after Impossible Princess, and I think it was the perfect song for her to hit back. And it's just pure pop. It is. I think you say the album's Kylie in under an hour. I think Spinning Around's Kylie in under 4 minutes.
Yes, absolutely. Jono, what are you making of Spinning Around?
I probably think Paul Abdul's just kicking herself that she didn't give it for herself.
Oh, wouldn't she ever? Yeah, she was planning a big comeback album.
Like Kylie?
I can't imagine. I love Paula Abdul, I really do, but I can't even. I think it would have had a harder edge if she released this, if she'd produced it. Don't you reckon? I can't imagine her doing this version of Spinning Around. It's too light and fluffy for her. But I would love to have heard it, though, nonetheless.
There's a few tracks in her discography where it was like, it was meant to be Kylie's for a reason, and this is one of them. So I think even though she didn't write it, I think it very much represents how she was viewing her career at the time, coming back and having such a big comeback that she did. It was massive.
So poetic, isn't it? The lyrics of it, and they weren't written for her, they weren't written by her, but they just beautifully summed up where we were all at as fans and where she was at in her career. Spinning Around, the video clip. Now, come on, where do we start with this?
We start with the gold hot pants, and we probably finish with the gold hot pants. Was there anything else? I don't know.
That choreography, though, like I just want to find a guy in the club that knows it off by heart, and I can kind of do that little wiggle on his butt like she does.
Jono, can you do that dance?
I could try. I could tuck and do it. I just need someone to make that for me.
The music video for Spinning Around was directed by Dawn Shadforth. I have a feeling it was the first time Dawn and Kylie worked on a video clip. It certainly wasn't the last, though, all the way up into the Blue. They've done a lot of videos together. It was an iconic video clip, though, wasn't it, Aidan?
The video, I think she's mentioned the video clip was the first time she worked with a female director. I mean, we already mentioned the hot pants. I mean, I can't believe we're 18 years almost since Spinning Around now, and it still gets brought up in pretty much every interview. A new Kylie era starts, and you got to mention the gold hot pants. I think it's really very much a staple of her career, whether she likes it or not.
Now, Jono, it seems to me like I'm making a big assumption here. We've never met, but you seem like a guy who might go to clubs and stuff like that. Have you ever seen anybody doing that kind of acting and behaving that way on a bar top before?
well, there aren't really mirrors in clubs, so I can't see myself doing it. But yeah, no, people don't really get rowdy in gay clubs on Oxford Street just because they're mostly kind of pinned to the wall with their little congregations.
Right. Okay.
You got to get the party started. Look, I don't know. There's this real kind of like misconception about gay clubs where it kind of does look like the spinning, where people think it does look like the spinning around video, but really it's like perks of being a wallflower.
I can't see it happening down at the local RSL. There might be a few old guys dropping down with heart attacks.
Maybe you might get a few free drinks there, though, Rick. Why don't you give it a go?
Mate, I'll go if she's doing it, but if I'm doing it, we might empty the place.
Well, I'd shout you around if you did it, put it that way. Track number 2 on the album was also a monster hit, and that's On a Night Like This. Arguably bigger than Spinning Around. Spinning Around definitely needed to be that first single. It just had to be. It made sense, and it was cosmic, and it was poetic for what was going on in her career. But On a Night Like This, fantastic, and especially for us in Australia, maybe, or maybe I'm only talking for myself, it represents the Olympic Games big time for me. Party time, right?
Like, I feel like if she was to do the Super Bowl, and I'm praying she does the Super Bowl, but I feel like she would end with that track.
It's an epic track and fantastic in concert. Like, I think it transcends into a concert. Fantastic. I remember the Kiss Me Once tour. It was just like a massive disco. The lights, it was just fun. And I remember that I harp on the videos, but the video was like a movie, and it was all class. And I think it set the tone for the album. I think it's one of her strongest singles ever.
I do too. Now, it was actually written for somebody else and performed and released by, I think, somewhere in Italy or Spain, a Spanish artist or an Italian artist. So it's pretty much a remake. Kylie does that quite well throughout her career.
I think it was a perfect follow-up to Spinning Around. Definitely the being performed at the Olympic Games, I think that was definitely a big step on her road to huge success with Fever. I think that was maybe the first step coming back, and they say she performed in front of 1 billion people on television, and she absolutely rocked it. I mean, along with Dancing Queen, and they say
Such a professional.
They say it was. I guess it had maybe a longer chart run than Spinning Around did.
Now, the lovely Steve Anderson wasn't completely absent from Light Years. Track 4 is So Now Goodbye, written by Kylie and Steve Anderson together. This is a fun track, isn't it? It's for me at least, it's really fun. And as many people say, the whole album is camp-tastic. This is probably about as camp-tastic as it gets.
It kicks off my favourite passage of the album. I think it's a perfect camp pop song. And I think that although it was never considered, it's just considered an album track, I think that the strength of the songs that are just album tracks really shows the strength of the album.
We're talking...
Oh, yeah, So Now Goodbye. That's definitely in my playlist of good breakup songs, or Kylie songs.
I've never thought of it like that, Actually, you've just brought me back into reality. It is actually a breakup song, isn't it? Because the tune would belie that. Like, it doesn't sound like a breakup song. But you're right. So
I think it was probably a missed opportunity for a single, but like at the same time, I don't think there are any missed opportunities for singles because all of them are so stellar.
Oh, I do. I disagree with that. I think we'll get to track 11, Butterfly, soon, but that is the biggest missed opportunity of her entire career, I think. Because Butterfly, with the right video and the right mix, I also think it would have needed to have been slightly mixed. That was a clanger of a hit waiting to happen. Anyway, I'm way deviating. So Now Goodbye, over there in Canada. How was it received by Mr. Aiden?
This was one that took a very long time to grow on me. From when I first listened to Light Years and throughout the years, it was never really my favorite. And only really recently where I started, I'm always going through her albums again, and I'm like, you know what, this is actually really a stellar track. I love the performance from the On a Night Like This tour during that segment. Absolutely brilliant. It's a good track. I definitely appreciate it now.
Now, track 5 on the album, Disco Down, even at the time, I remember as the singles were being released and we didn't know what the next one would be, this one was the one that people seemed to be, above Butterfly, in fact, it seemed to be rioting for. They demanded Disco Down to be a single. I didn't agree with it. Personally, I love the song. I don't think it would have been a great single choice. I'm glad she sang it at the Anti-Tour. Made me very happy when she sang it at the Anti-Tour. Should Disco Down have been a single?
Hell yeah. It's such a dance track. It just jumps off the record. I don't understand why it wasn't. I think it should have been. And you're right, the Anti-Tour, when she sung it there, it was brilliant. This is the one track I think is a missed opportunity.
I don't know. It's kind of. I'm not saying it's forgettable, but it's definitely not one that I jumped to. Like, I can't believe I even forgot Butterfly as missed opportunities for singles, because you're right. Butterfly is in my top 5 favorite Kylie songs, but I'm getting ahead of us as well. I don't know. Disco Down is, I guess, but no.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think there's a lot of people like you and me, Jono, that we don't mind the track, but as for a single, nah. But the people who wanted it to be a single, boy, are they vocal. No, like, it's like this little segment of Kylie Kingdom where people are just with pitchforks and big placards, how dare you never release Disco Down. Like, it's a really fierce group. You are out there, Rick, and you're probably right at the head of the group, aren't you? Aiden, what do you make of this one?
Excellent. As a single, I could see it being a single, but I mean, it wouldn't be my first choice. But I think it's an absolutely epic song. I think the production on the song is one of her best ever. I mean, those kind of bells that you hear throughout,
yes.
And in the chorus are just absolutely amazing. It's an ethereal song, definitely a great track.
And you know what? On any other album, I probably would be joining the campaign for this to be a single. It's just we're so spoilt for choice on this album because there are no duds on this album. There are no duds. It's such a fun album. And not the least of which is track 6, Love Boat. Now, Love Boat didn't stand out to me at all until it opened the On a Night Like This tour. And what a fantastic freaking way to open that particular tour. That anchor and that little kimono that she was wearing. Brilliant, right?
I remember avoiding the internet, avoiding the TV.
Yes, me too.
Days before the concert started because I didn't want to see how she was going to come onto the stage. And I think I was a screaming, crying mess with standing next to my wife who's looking at me going, oh my God, get yourself together. when she comes down on that anchor, because I think it was everything I'd probably ever wanted. Who doesn't want to be on a love boat with Miss Minogue coming down on an anchor? It was camp, it was brilliant, and the song, it just lifted up the song. It was brilliant live.
In Australia, at least. Well, first of all, this tour just blew everything out. It set a record. It became the biggest tour of a female act ever in Australia at the time. I mean, that's talking about Olivia Newton-John, Madonna, all the acts that had come before. She trumped all of them. And the atmosphere in that entertainment centre, I was at the Sydney Entertainment Centre, and I went twice or 3 times possibly, because she just kept adding show after show after show. The atmosphere was unbelievable. Cannot even begin to tell people. And what I loved was this was the first tour I'd been to in a long time. Well, probably the first tour for Kylie, where it wasn't just hardcore fans. There was old people, really young people, straight people, couples, and then, of course, her gay brigade. I mean, they were all there. It was such a mixed, and I think that really added to the vibe. That's what I noticed that time. Well, I mean, what more could you want? And the Mexican waves every time. They went on. The video only shows it for about 30 seconds, but the Mexican waves went for 15, 20 bloody minutes. Until I was like, come on, stop that, Kylie, bring it into line, bring it into line. Jono, did you go to the On a Night Like This tour?
No, because I was 6 years old.
That's okay, but forgiven.
Because when you're asking
I feel old.
I was like, I'm like, does he know how old I am? I'm only 24, so I've only been to Kiss Me Once.
Well, then, welcome to Kylie Kingdom, newbie. And maybe you will probably take the throne when the rest of us die, which isn't too far away.
I want to take it now, to be honest. I'm impatient.
Aiden, what did you make of Love Boat?
This is hands down my favorite track on the album. Since first listen, I can remember getting the CD for Christmas and putting it in and hearing Love Boat for the first time, and it was just like, oh my god. And then when I got because obviously I didn't have the fortune of attending the On a Night Like This tour, but I did have the fortune of getting the VHS probably in 2002, and that opening that just solidified it as an absolute Kylie classic for me, an absolute fan favorite. I think it's just absolutely everything. It's one of the most Kylie tracks there is. It's like listening to it, it's so happy. It's like a vacation in a song, I guess. It's very cliche way of putting it, but absolutely my favorite track.
And I think there's only one person who could write lyrics like this. Have Anne Havana pass me a peach, rub on lotion, the places I can't reach. I mean, Robbie Williams, I mean, he's a fruitcake in the most genius of ways.
He really, and I mean, obviously he's on the album a couple more times, but absolutely he is, his songwriting definitely stands out in the songs on the album. Your Disco Needs You, Kids, and definitely those lines in Love Boat, classic Robbie Williams as well.
Classic Robbie Williams, completely bizarre and off the wall and strange, and probably where he was just looking for a word that rhymed half the time, but he somehow makes it work. Koo Koo Cachoo too. I feel like sometimes, for me, I can't separate Love Boat with Koo Koo Cachoo, probably because of a tour more than anything. But they do go together. Talking about zany lyrics, right? Koo Koo Cachoo.
What is a Koo Koo Cachoo?
What the hell is a Koo Koo Cachoo? Actually, let's start right there. What's a Koo Koo Cachoo? You're probably thinking it's an Australian term or something, right? It's not.
Yeah.
Actually, you guys talk amongst yourselves. Rick, you take Koo Koo Cachoo. I'm going to Google what is a Koo Koo Cachoo.
I have no idea what it is, but I do know that my wife, when we got married, she walked down the aisle to this song.
Oh, Lord.
Really?
Oh, Lord,
she really
tell
did.
us the story.
So we've got 4 kids, and I really wanted to name one of my girls Kylie. I lost the argument because that just was not happening. I even tried for the middle name, didn't happen. And we were discussing the wedding. I mean, when you have a wedding, you're tearing your hair out and spending a lot of money that you don't have. And we're talking about songs, and this song, we just loved it. Like, we used to dance around to it in the kitchen. She's going to kill me for saying it. And in the lounge room at home. And it just fitted with our romance, I suppose. And it was just perfect for us, because we were kind of like...
walked down the aisle.
You kind of jogged, stroke, walk, stroke, dance.
To Koo Koo Cachoo.
Yeah,
Really?
It was massive. Everyone went berserk because
That
they were
is
waiting for
epic.
this. They were waiting for this, the general wedding song or a little bit of classic music. I can tell you now that the Catholic priest, his eyes were a little shook when he heard it. But it was so much fun because we're up the front and I'm up there sort of jazzing away dancing and just and she's coming down with the bridesmaids, and they were just like completely out of step. No idea what they're doing. All they knew was they were trying to get to the end and keep some dignity, but people still talk about it, and it was fantastic. And it's a song that we put on, and we play it for the kids in the car now, and they're like, oh,
This was our wedding song, kids.
The video, the VHS, it's still here somewhere. It's really cool.
You could be the only couple on the planet who chose that to walk down. That is an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that. That truly is. That's bizarre and amazing at the same time. That's a really good story. Now when I
think of Kylie songs to walk down the aisle to, Koo Koo Cachoo's probably like dead last for me. So very, very unique. I mean, I've heard of people walking down the aisle to like Abbey Road Sessions,
Yes.
Love at First Sight,
Romantic
her
ones.
other songs too, but Koo Koo Cachoo definitely very unique
Well, I
choice.
think it says a lot about Rick and his marriage. It must be a fun, lively, energetic marriage.
Bloody oath.
I've been looking up Koo Koo Cachoo, and it's interesting, actually. I'm glad I did. Here we go. We're learning on the go, my friends. The phrase was first used in songs by artists such as the Beatles, and shortly after by Simon and Garfunkel. This phrase has absolutely no definitive meaning given by dictionaries or artists such as John Lennon, who first used it. The phrase has two other widely known spellings, and we don't care about those. It's believed to be used in songs of the 60s and 70s, and it's a slang word, a phrase left to be freely interpreted by anyone based on the surrounding context in which it's used. Basically, Koo Koo Cachoo is just a crazy word that can mean anything.
I was a little frightened when you were giving the definition because I didn't want to know, just in case it wasn't something we thought it was. Because then I'd be erasing or taping over the wedding tape and redoing it all in 2018.
Your whole marriage could have taken on a brand new meaning, right?
It could have been some weird bird with two legs and pink. Oh, that's right. It's a flamingo. I don't know.
Like the cousin of the kookaburra, right? Yeah, something like that.
It could have been. I was dreading it. I was kind of glad you got to the end and it wasn't dreadful.
All right, Jono, what do you think of Koo Koo Cachoo?
It's very kind of like Disney Channel original movie summer holiday soundtrack kind of thing.
You're making me feel bad.
It's just really High School Musical. That's what it sounds like. It's fun. It's a bop, but I'm kind of just picturing a bride walking down the aisle to something that sounds like you're kind of running across the beach.
Muriel's wedding.
Oh, you're terrible, Muriel. Isn't that how it goes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's move to track 8, which is Your Disco Needs You. Now, this is epic. Now, I'm sure you've all got a lot to say about this. It was written by Kylie. She was involved in the writing of this. Chambers and Williams, Robbie Williams. Again, some really daft lyrics in here. And a strange little video clip, too. It had a limited release in Australia. That was all because there was this fan campaign during the On a Night Like This tour to have it released. And I don't know why Germany comes into my head too, whether the video was only released in Germany, but something to do with German. And then we have all the lyrics, which were originally French in the middle. She translated that, I believe, into Japanese, 4 different ones, probably Italian. You guys might know better than me, but this is a big track, isn't it? Your Disco Needs You.
It's epic. And in Germany, it was only released in Germany as a single. I think it got to like 31 or something.
Australia
anyway,
definitely got a limited release too, without the video.
Yeah, 10,000 copies, I think. But There's so many video clips for this. It's massive in concert, and it rocks on the album.
For me, like, this is definitely the biggest missed opportunity for a big single, especially in the UK. I've read before that, fans were protesting outside of Parlophone headquarters. They wanted it released as a single so bad. And it made its way to like 152, I think, in the UK based on imports alone, I think. I think if it got a full release, she would have saw definitely another top 10 hit. If not, reaching number 1. I think it was definitely the biggest missed opportunity for a commercial success. Now, saying that, I think it's definitely a fan favorite. It's a classic. She brings it back time and time again. The fans love it, eat it up. She loves performing it. It's another one of those intrinsic Kylie songs.
Jono, this is a song where she really shows off her operatic skills in concert too, doesn't she? My feeling is that she loves this show-off moment, and I'm going to call it that because she has pipes on her that people often dismiss, but this song just suits her down to the ground because she has an operatic tone and ability.
She does, yeah. Well, she showed it off at the iTunes festival when she did this kind of like little scaled-down version of KMO. I agree with Aiden where he says that it's a missed opportunity for a single, because I think what she should have done is actually released it as the first single. So it's kind of like like an invitation to the album, like Your Disco Needs You. And then she releases Spinning Around. And then I think she could have told a story with the singles where it was Your Disco Needs You, then there's Spinning Around, and then Please Stay on a Night Like This, and then Kids is
Oh
just
my
released as
god! A
I
round
think
of applause for Jono, because that is brilliant. Oh, wonderful! Telling a story, the invitation, the actual dance floor. Then please stay on a night like this, and then what did you say? Finish off with they have babies, and all of a sudden kids arrive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the conception. Yeah.
Oh, that's the conception. That puts a whole new slant on the whole album for me.
Robbie wishes.
Kids is like you went out on a night like this and then got knocked up and then had kids or something.
And you know what? There's even divorce on this album. So now goodbye. There you go.
Yeah.
That's actually my life story. The more I think about it, how depressing. This was such a fun album until you put that forward. Track 9 on Light Years is Please Stay. Now this, I believe, controversial is probably a bit too strong, but this is what I heard. That Kylie did not want this to be the final single of the album. She didn't want it, but she was pushed into it because it's safe, I suppose. It's the only song with that Latino type of deal on it. I love the song. Should it have been a single, though? Should it have been the final single on Light Years?
I think it was the weakest single of the releases. Most definitely, I wouldn't have released it over Butterfly or Your Disco Needs You or Disco Down.
I would agree, definitely. It's probably the weakest from the 4 main singles. I like it, though. I see a lot of people saying they don't like it. I actually enjoy it. I listen to it quite frequently, but as a single, it wasn't as successful. It's obvious to see why it's quite different from the other ones. Actually, just a little random tidbit is, speaking of Your Disco Needs You in Germany, they actually replaced Please Stay with Your Disco Needs You on the German edition of Ultimate Kylie.
Is that right?
There, and yeah, I all of the other fans I speak to, they're like, oh my god, I really want the German edition of Ultimate Kylie, because they kicked off Please Stay for Your Disco Needs You there, because Please Stay was like a non-event in Germany, so they stuck Your Disco Needs You on there instead. I really like the video clip, though. She looks great. It's fun, definitely very Light Years as well, I think.
And she just loves it when she's canoodling on a piece of furniture too, and she does that for the first third of this video clip. And what's with the Batman thing? Like when I was a boy, I wanted one of those in my wardrobe. Where you pull the little handle and you've got a little pole in there. I wouldn't have wanted to land where she landed. I thought it was going to the Batcave, but that's all right.
The Light Years pinball machine. It's like, where do I get one of those?
Where is that?
Yes.
Where is it? There must be a museum where that's like the centerpiece. In a box?
Yes.
I said, I think all of you are haters. I'm sitting here like, when do I get my turn? I'm about to read all of y'all for filth. I think Please Stay. Like, I don't care that it didn't do well. Not everything can be a hot banger, but I think it's a really good kind of song where, it's a good breakup song, and it's a good kind of song about not knowing the future of a relationship. And I don't know, I use a lot of Kylie's songs to kind of speak for kind of whatever context I'm going through right now, because she does know how to turn a mood around, because she is so glittery and fun. But I liked Please Stay as a single.
Oh, now listen here, you little upstart. Now, you've just come along at the last minute and tried to rewrite history. Well, let's look at the chart before, but let's look at some facts. Please Stay had moderate success worldwide. The song debuted at number 15 on the Australian singles chart, which is phenomenal. Like, if Dancing could have made it, I think, but we're talking different days, aren't we? But it didn't receive many weeks on the chart, so it slipped out pretty quickly, but it was still certified gold, but it fell out of the week. So basically what I'm saying, it didn't have the longevity of the other songs. And surely, Jono, even though you're saying that the song was good and all of that, and I respect that, actually, honestly, don't you think there are other songs that would have made better final singles to represent this album and round it off the way it deserved to be rounded off?
Well, I think maybe it's because it was a final single. Have you ever thought about that? Because did Kids come before?
Yes.
Please Stay. Okay. I think maybe the collab should have been put at the end, and not because of what I was talking about before with telling a story. I just think maybe because, I don't know, I think putting a collab in the middle is kind of very odd for a progression of singles.
We've got to talk about the only ballad on the album, number 10 on the album, Bittersweet Goodbye, number 10 or number 9, depending on if you're counting Password. By the way, don't shoot me, people out there who say it's track number 9. She sang this at the Anti-Tour, one of the highlights for me at least. Some people say it's a bit of a stock standard ballad. I couldn't disagree more. What are we making of Bittersweet Goodbye?
She actually wrote it about Michael Hutchence.
Yes, apparently.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I love playing it, and especially if I need a bit of a cry, I'll put it on.
This is another one that took quite some time to grow on me. I was always thinking like it's stuck right in the middle of the album or towards the end of the album, and doesn't really fit, I guess, the overall, kind of theme. But it is a really, over the years I've come to appreciate it. It's definitely a very sad song. Definitely shows off her skills as a songwriter as well, and a vocalist. So I think it's definitely good if you're feeling a little bit sad.
It took a while to grow on me as well. It's probably one of the songs that I like the least, but I would say, learning now that it's about Michael Hutchence, I think, that makes me like it more.
Particularly on this album is so energetic. We do need a point. If you're going to listen to it from beginning to end, as you should, people, stop listening to tracks on Spotify singularly, listen from beginning to end. And if you do that, you need a break. You need something.
Yes, Daddy.
And especially on this. Yes, Daddy. That's right. Thank you. Take that as a lesson, Jono. So we pick up the speed again to Butterfly. This is going wrong, I think. Into perverse territory. Butterfly, track number 10 or 11. Again, I've said it before. I'll say it 1,000 times. Butterfly could have been up there with, probably not quite as big as Can't Get You Out of My Head, but it with the right video, the right packaging, the right marketing, the right look, and a bit of controversy as well. I think if they'd added something, that would have grabbed some headlines into the video clip. This could have been, like with Michael Jackson's Thriller album, it was a big freaking album, but then he released Thriller, like just when you thought it couldn't get any bigger. I think that Butterfly could have just closed this album out with just a cracker. That's my thoughts. Biggest missed opportunity on any album of her career, in my opinion.
Probably one of my it's in my top 5 favorite Kylie songs, and because of the way that she has that kind of elongated run at the end, that kind of fades out, and then there's a little bit more lyrics, and then it kind of fades back in and it keeps going, and I'm snatched bald every single time.
I absolutely love it as well. Coming from Bittersweet Goodbye, which is really slow and sad, and then all of a sudden Butterfly starts, and it's just this absolutely epic production from the beginning to the end. It was, I actually consider this another step on her way to being reintroduced into North America. It was actually a moderate club hit in the United States, and actually got a limited release on vinyl and CD.
And Aidan, can I
States.
talk about that? This, you're absolutely right. Before Fever, this was the only thing that had been released in the States for years, and it was, like you say, it got to number 14 on their dance club charts.
Yeah.
For anyone listening who has that beautiful white limited edition single of this Butterfly, oh my God, they must be rich, because this is actually one of the Kylie collectibles that's worth quite a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty rare now. But definitely easy to see why it was quite popular in clubs. It's a very, very club-oriented song.
I just wish she'd play it more in concert. I think it should be one of the tracks that opens up every concert she does. I think if she starts with a banger, finishes with a banger, she's going to be smashing it all the way through. And this song is that song. I think it should be kicking off every tour we have, regardless of what the album's about that she's promoting. But
so Kylie, if you're listening, revive Butterfly, rework it, remake it, but bring it back.
Do something with it.
Release a video.
Do the whole thing.
She needs to bring it back.
Yes.
The last time we heard any of it was on Showgirl Homecoming, where it was used as an interlude for one of the remixes.
Yes.
Just briefly, but and I mean that performance on a night like this as well. so amazing. The mix they used. She comes out. It's quite a dark,
Very sexual.
a performance. Yes, very. The dancer's outfits herself, totally being the center of attention with the dancers in that act.
Yes, and doesn't it say everything that after all these years, we're all saying it stands the test of time? It could come back now. We move into track 12 or 11 on the album, which is the Barry White song, Under the Influence of Love, a very big reworking of this song. It meets her demand of the album having, I think it was summer, ocean, poolside. She had a few key words that she had in her head when they started making this album. It meets all of those key words.
I like when she does reworkings of songs because they've always been so stellar, like Feels So Good from Kiss Me Once, and how she did that cover of the Chairman of the Board song with Give Me Just a Little More Time.
Yeah.
I think she does it well. She always kind of takes songs that other people have done or even that have been written for other people, and you're like, okay, the original can't compare.
I actually listened to the Barry White version 3 weeks ago. I didn't even know it was a cover.
Wow.
And I loved it. Honestly didn't. And I listened to the Barry White version, which I would say is a cover for me. It's great. Like I said, I like the album, and it fits in so well to where it's at. It kind of, you got Butterfly, and it's kind of like in your face, bam, wham, and then Under the Influence of Love just kind of slows you back down, brings you back into the groove of the album, and yeah, it's great.
Aidan, it's got a little bit of James Bond about it.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a cover for years as well. Definitely another one of those songs that she made her own.
Now, talking about poolside and being in Ibiza and a tropical island, this track, I'm So High, it says all of that, doesn't it? I mean, literally in the words. This is a summer track, I'm So High.
It's a good soundtrack song. I could hear it in a movie if people actually did pay attention to Kylie a bit more in Hollywood.
This is another one that took quite some time to grow on me, but now I absolutely love it. It's one of my probably top tracks on the album. That kind of clapping production. I'm dying for her to do it live. She never has. I would love to see what she would do with it live and how she would recreate it, or whether she keep it how it is. Definitely a track I enjoy now.
And it's fun to sing. If anyone out there is someone who enjoys singing, this one's got some beautiful notes that just, they're fun, up and down, really high, and it's a fun song to sing. We come to the legendary track 14, Kids, with Robbie Williams. It was also on Robbie Williams' album Sing When You're Winning, I think it was called, something like that.
Yes.
And he had a slightly different version with a different set of sort of rap, something about Billy Connolly and sodomy on his version of it.
Lips like Billy Connolly, yes.
Yes, not a bird that looks like Billy Connolly, which something like that anyway. But look, I like this song, but I am going to start off with this. She has got to put it to bed. Stop it. It's at every tour,
Please.
Kylie. Can you please?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Please stop.
No, I don't
This is the part where I sit down. Like, she wants everyone to get up and pump their fists. And it's a little bit rock and roll, and sometimes I think Kylie's a bit paranoid about being not cool enough and not rock and roll enough. So I think that's why she brings this out. I sit down, it's like, please, just stop. Stop it. Stop.
I have just realized that when you said that, I've been doing the lyrics wrong to the rap. I thought it said, not some lips that looks like Billy Connolly, not some bird. God damn it, how
Like bird
embarrassing.
meaning lady. Well, there you go. I'm sure that... not some lips that look like Billy Connolly's.
It's not fat lips. What the bugger? Oh, well, yeah.
Hang on, while you guys talk amongst yourselves, I'm going to Google Billy Connolly's lips to see if that makes sense on any level at all.
It probably doesn't, and I'm not drinking, honestly. It is just, oh my God, that's really bad. But I do agree, she has to drop it at the concerts, unless Robbie's going to be there. It's horrid.
Then it could be forgiven. Yeah, it's a horrid song, you reckon? Or is it just overdone?
It's overdone in concert because like the arms go up in the air and I don't know what we're slapping in the air. I honestly don't, but I get tired by the end of it and I'm just like, unless Robbie's going to come out of somewhere and start singing it, let's nick it off and let's just put butterfly in or something.
Just a quick update, Billy Connolly's lips are perfectly normal. They're a little bit hairy, but besides
Are they?
that, there's not really a problem with them, no. Aidan, what are you making of Kids?
It's not my favorite, but I don't dislike it. I think if she did it with Robbie on tour, that would be amazing. They haven't done it together in since it came out, I think, or around that time. I know they did it, I think, at a couple of award shows.
Yes.
And at one of his concert tours.
Yeah, and then the last time she actually took it out of a tour was during Aphrodite, I believe. My favorite live version is all the way back from On a Night Like This tour. I love when she included the rap at the very beginning of the song. That's probably my favorite live version of it. Otherwise, I don't really care for it live.
But you know why that is? That's not to do with the song, Aidan. I would venture that that's because Kylie fans love it when Kylie raps, and she knows it and she's embarrassed by it, but we love it when she does a little rap.
Yeah.
And she's done it a few times.
She can't whistle.
It's maybe the most un-Kylie thing ever, but we love it, right?
Hey there, Kylie.
Thinking of the Secret on Body Language.
That's right.
The Kids rap from On a Night Like This tour, various other little places on Body Language as well. It's like
One Boy Girl.
Yeah, One Boy Girl as well.
Now, Jono, this song was written for you. It was written for the kids.
I hate you. Retire it at the concerts because there's a lot more better options. You know what I mean? I don't know how it can fit into. I don't know how thematic she is with her each of her segments and all that kind of stuff, but it just doesn't fit in.
We're closing the album now with Light Years, and I love it when artists, particularly Kylie, finish off an album with a great track like this that just leaves you singing the song after the disc has actually finished. Light Years, surely I'm not going to get any objections to this. Fantastic track.
Fantastic. I know my brother said to me, I think she was just trying to prove that she passed kindergarten by counting backwards. I didn't think he was funny at all. He was just being a jerk. But anyway...
Tell your brother he's a buffhead and to give himself an uppercut.
You know him? God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know his type.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not
he would have mocked you when you wore your Kylie t-shirt.
Oh, yeah, you know what? He got around in AC/DC shirts and black jeans, and I said, mate, you're going off of me. He said, I go to a concert and I watch a chick run around in hot pants. You go to a concert and you watch blokes in black jeans and tight shirts. I haven't got the issues. That's
What's his name, Rick?
Anyway. No, better not. He's bigger than me.
Oh, that's very loyal and brotherly of you.
Well, he's faster. Great song, but hey.
No complaints from me, absolutely. I think it's, although it's remained an album track, I think it potentially could have been a single. But I think it's an absolute classic. She's brought it back several times on tours. Probably her most well-known album track, I would say, definitely. A total fan favorite. My favorite live version would be from the Fever tour, where she mashed it up with Donna Summer's I Feel Love. Absolutely amazing. The song itself really is a kind of homage to I Feel Love. It kind of has that same kind of disco feel. Absolutely amazing from start to finish. The lyrics are so quirky, so Kylie. Thank you for flying KM Air. It's, I'm your person, Kylie. What is not to love about this track?
Camp-tastic, Jono.
It is. No, it is. And I love that kind of little do-do-do-do-do kind of sound that's in the song. That really stands out. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it would have been a single just because it kind of seems like a kind of outro to me.
Some of the lyrics to the song: have yourself a taste of foreign glamour, speeding on our way to something new, missing for a night but gone forever, the crew are here to take good care of you. I love the lines in this. I particularly like the line "pop stars on the moon," which, by the way, Rick probably heard completely differently. Did you, Rick?
No, yes, no, I didn't. But the exits are in the front and the rear of the craft.
Yes.
Am I the only one that giggles every time I hear that?
I
that's
think if it was used as a in-flight safety video, we would there would be no more air disasters ever. Everyone would get out alive.
I have to admit, this was a song that
Absolutely
made me
brilliant.
go to the internet and look up what is a purser, because in Australia, unless Rick or Jono can correct me, we don't use that term. What the hell's a purser? But now I know.
I guess it's like a fancy term for a flight attendant. I'm
It is.
assuming.
Oh, so you don't
Yeah.
you don't use that in Canada either, that term,
No,
We
definitely
just say
a
flight
very
attendant.
niche word.
or some people crudely call them plane bitches.
Yeah,
depends if they put you up to first class or they leave you down the back.
That's right, or if they leave you hanging when you're asking for a whiskey on the rocks. That's exactly right.
Yes.
It's a great track, though, and the tour version of this, fantastic too. It really was. It was grand and big, and a big production, wasn't it? And On a Night Like This was the first of those that we'd had ever, actually. It was a big, spectacular arena setting, and it was so fun to watch her do this song, and the little outfit she wore, which I think became the cover of the DVD to this as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Let's talk about the artwork to Light Years, the album, because it's pretty phenomenal, right?
I love it when artists have really consistent artwork for all the singles from the album. I hate it when the font deviates or there's a totally like random photo shoot or something like I think of
Yes.
like Madonna's Ray of Light, and how after the first two singles the artwork completely strayed from
Yes.
what the original album artwork was. But Light Years definitely has very consistent theme throughout its artwork. I think especially the cover for On a Night Like This definitely is in the same vein of the as the artwork for the album.
It's a very
and the font
consistent
stays
package.
the same.
The whole product that is Light Years is very consistent, singles and all. Vincent
Very.
Peters, he was the photographer. He was selected to actually take the album cover photograph. The shoot took place outside of Villa in the far north of Ibiza Island. I've seen some behind the scenes footage of this. It was really just a lovely setting where they were shooting. Vincent Peters' photography prior to this was well known for just being iconic. Like, he liked to make pieces of art, and I believe that he achieved the same with the cover of this album.
I think when you have a look at that cover, it is the album in a picture, really, because she's wearing this stunning, is it a blue dress or blue? I'm not sure what it is, but it's just stunning. It's by a pool. There's the sun going down. It's just gorgeous. It's what the album is, really. I think you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but I think that just exemplifies what the album's about.
And Jono,
Definitely.
it's even got a hint of a halo there, sort of marking Kylie's return to her throne too, if you read into symbolism. What did you make of it?
I know she says her favourite is Fever, but I think this one's the strongest just because of the raw colours and the kind of weird layer that the kind of pool does. It looks very... It looks like the sky... Oh, the sky is reflecting on the water. Wow. It's all very mirrored.
There were quite a few different editions of Light Years as well, and it's worth noticing a few of the other tracks around this time. We had the cover of Olivia Newton-John's Physical, which was done on the tour, but that was also released as a track on like the tour bonus edition in Australia, I think it was. We certainly got it here in Australia anyway. And there were lots of mixes, including the Sandstorm dub of Butterfly, which I love, but multiple mixes of all the tracks, of all the singles.
I think Physical, I've heard it was supposed to be included in Moulin Rouge or something like that. Or a film. I don't know if it was that one or a film or something, but it never got used, and she liked it so much that she brought it to life on tour and then put it on the tour edition.
Aidan, I think you're right. Now that you've said it, that's a memory I have too, that it was actually recorded as part of Moulin Rouge, yeah. And a little bit raunchy.
Yes, and that performance definitely on a Night Like This tour, it's like, yeah, I'm sure I know my mom wasn't really impressed when I'd pop in the VHS and that act would come on, and she was like, oh God, my son.
It was probably
I
not so much the performance, but you recreating it in the living room that actually disturbs me.
Yeah, it's probably. Yeah, definitely the issue.
Okay, we're
I
gonna
know my
go for
sorry,
it,
I know
Rick.
my wife was telling me to sit down at the concert and stop screaming and yelling. It was brilliant.
I know Kylie fans are very good at that. We wait for that quietest moment. We go, "We love you, Kylie." Yeah, it's really
Oh
good.
yeah, that's like on every live DVD ever. There's a moment.
Yes, there is. We're very good at doing that. We're going to round
Yeah.
this off. Where do we think this sits in the Kylie landscape? Where, as an album, we started off by saying that this really does represent who Kylie is. Jono, where do you think this sits?
Well, I think. What do you guys think about her being her comeback? Like, do you agree with that? That it was her comeback?
It absolutely was, for me at least, because I loved Impossible Princess, I loved KM94, but for me,
Oh,
she just wasn't huge superstar mainstream, and quite frankly, I know a lot of Kylie fans deny it, but we like it when she's commercially successful. We like it.
Oh yeah.
well, yeah, because she
there's
isn't one of
no
those
doubt.
indie artists where like she can, be happy with limited success. Like she is a pop diva. She's called the goddess of pop, for God's sake. We can't be angry when she does get, huge success because we want her to be successful. We want
That's right.
everyone to know who she is.
I'm just
I
noticing
wanna
with
see her-
Golden, there's this new theme coming out that, we don't care. We don't care if it's not successful. Bullshit. We do. We do.
Oh, yes, that's so true.
Anyone who says
These
that they're not,
fans, Jesus.
they're just trying to find a little angle for, oh, well, we're disappointed, but we're not going to call it that. We like Kylie to be commercially successful. Whether she can continue to be with her age and all the ageism that there is, and the fact that young people want to latch onto the latest trend, which is fair enough, who knows? But yes, this Light Years was a comeback. Absolutely. After years in the wilderness, frankly.
Yeah.
If I had to give an album that represented Kylie, if they said, right, this one album, you can give it to the world in 50 years or 100 years, that people are going to go, okay, so what was Kylie about? This would be the album I'd want to put in the time capsule.
I would say it's in my top 5 Kylie albums for sure. It was definitely her comeback and definitely paved the way to have even a bigger comeback just a year later with Fever. One thing I wanted to say is with this album, people always talking about how she co-wrote all of Impossible Princess and now she's co-written all of Golden. But I just want to say she co-wrote most of this album as well.
Good on you. Yes.
So
Yes.
it's like some recognition, please. Like her name is on, I think, 10 out of the 14 tracks. It's like she wrote or co-wrote most of the album, and she did a really good freaking job.
Thank you for pointing that out. Really important point. Rick, Aiden, and baby Jono, thank you so much for your time tonight. Awesome discussion about Light Years, and hopefully people will stay tuned and listen to what we have to say in our retro review of the biggest album of her career, Fever, which Light Years arguably laid the foundation stone for. Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
This was,
Bye.
so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank
First time
you.
doing a podcast.
Thank you.